Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Philly.
It's time for Angels Spring Training Baseball this afternoon from Tempe Diablo Stadium. It's an Angels split squad in action against the Chicago White Sox. We bring you inside Tempe Diablo Stadium for Angels Cactus League Baseball. Terry Smith along with Jose Mota. Jose, as far as the Angels are concerned, a loss yesterday to the world champions. Back here in Tempe today, another Angels squad playing in Goodyear against the Cincinnati Reds. Let's talk about the second base position for the Angels. It was certainly a question mark this time a year ago in spring training. Maybe not so much this spring.
Well, the reason is because there's one guy who is so fiery that pretty much answered the question, yes. There are still some questions lingering about his defense, but we know Johnny Giavotella is the guy the Angels are counting on to go out there and produce like he did last season. He showed Terry a willingness to learn, to ask questions, to be instructed, and also to be clutch for the Angels all the way around. Line drive percentage, the highest he's had in his career, and also the opportunity to play every day next to Eric Ibar made him better. But for Johnny, it was about consistency. Yes, he did have that battle with the vision issues, but nonetheless, when he was on the field, he was terrific. Consider how clutch he was. 13 go-ahead RBIs, and it didn't matter, Terry, where he was hitting in that lineup.
Well, Johnny, a spark plug for the Angels and a pleasant surprise for the Angels for the most part, especially offensively a year ago. Well, today we'll see Hector Santiago on the hill for the Angels in this game here in Tempe. Hector, an all-star last year, but also a pitcher, I would say, kind of looking for more consistency.
I agree with you 100%. Hector wants to make sure that now that he understands a little bit more about what it takes to pitch a full season as a starter. Well, he showed some good things his first outing of the spring. Glove side, like his pitching coach Charles Nagy wanted, very strong, meaning on the outer half against the lefties, strong with that fastball, and on the inside against the righties, which will spread the plate out for him, of course, with the outspeed. But, yes, All-Star. Now, the difference is what happened before the All-Star, the RA, and after the All-Star break, but nonetheless, Terry, he did get himself into a lot of trouble, sometimes high pitch counts, but when he got into trouble, he was one of the best in baseball. Runners in scoring position hit only 197 against him.
Well, Jose, you're well aware that for a team to be successful, they have to play solid defense. You look at the Angels, a couple of Gold Glovers from the past in the infield, a couple in the outfield for the Angels, and we've seen some signs already of solid defense this spring.
It all leads to one thing, confidence with your pitchers to go out there and throw strikes and pitch to contact. C.J. Cron on the right side. Yesterday, he gets on his knees and flips it over to the pitcher, Tropiano, and then in left field, Daniel Nava and Gentry both showing a lot of range. Just a good idea on the jumps they're getting. And up the middle, this is silky glove. Anderson Simmons, of course, making the job easier for Johnny Giavotella. But for the Angels, Terry, as he talked about, it all takes effect on the starter, then the relievers. And after that, too, is we have here with the Angels so many fly ball pitchers that it doesn't matter how and where people put the ball in play. You got to trust there's so many guys that have won Gold Gloves that are going to be able to help you out and prolong your outing.
All right, well, today the Angels will take on the Chicago White Sox. They were a team last spring a lot of people were predicting might be a real sleeper team. It didn't play out that way. They had their third straight losing season. They had some issues on offense last year, and they've tried to address them this spring.
They did. I mean, clearly they did not score enough runs. This is a team that, believe it or not, had the most quality starts in the American League, and they have guys that can really bring it, but you got to support that. With the offense now, with the additions of Brett Lawrie coming from Oakland, you got Todd Frazier, all-star in Cincinnati, Alex Avila with the Tigers, and Matt Latos, who finished up with the Angels, is a big question mark, but he's vying for a spot in the rotation. Terry, they average 3.8 runs per game. That's not going to get it done in that division dominated by the Kansas City Royals.
Austin Jackson added by the White Sox as well, although we do not expect to see him in action here today. So the Angels in action against the Chicago White Sox. A split squad day for the Angels, a game here and also one in Goodyear. We'll have the starting lineups and the action. It's coming up next on Fox Sports West.
It is a cool day here in Tempe as the Angels and the White Sox get ready to take on another Cactus League matchup here under the sun. The cloudy skies more than likely right now here in Tempe. Robin Ventura and his White Sox against Mike Scioscia's Angels. The Angels are 2-3 so far in the spring. The White Sox 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. Time now for the starting lineup for the White Sox. J.B. Shuck, former Angel, is in center field. Brett Lawrie, acquired from the A's, is at second base, batting second. Jose Abreu is batting third. He's an all-star. What a slugger he is, playing first base. Todd Frazier, another all-star coming in from the Cincinnati Reds. Todd Frazier at third base, New Jersey native. Jerry Sands is batting fifth in left field. Dioner Navarro, veteran catcher, switch hitter, signed as a free agent, is batting sixth. Jason Coates, it's in right field, batting seventh. Daniel Fields is a designated hitter. He bats eighth. And Tyler Saladino, shortstop for the White Sox, is batting ninth. For the Angels, and that Angels starting lineup is brought to you by McDonald's. I'm loving it. Mike Scioscia with Yunel Escobar, who's looked very good here so far this spring. He's playing third base. Rafael Ortega, youngster who's looked really good himself, is batting second in left field. Mike Trout, oh yes, Mike Trout, that Mike Trout is in center field, batting third. Batting fourth is Albert Pujols. Albert made his debut in the spring. Talked to him today. It's all good. Playing on consecutive days. Designated hitter batting fourth. Cole Calhoun in that number 5 spot, which looks really good right now, is batting fifth in right field. C.J. Cron down to sixth at first base. He'll be seeing a lot of time at first base all throughout the spring. Giovanni Soto, former White Sox, is batting seventh. He's the Angels catcher. Ray Navarro gets a start at shortstop in this split squat day for the Angels. Navarro is batting eighth. And Gregorio Petit out of Venezuela is batting ninth. He is at second base. There is Eric Johnson on the mound for the White Sox. And for the Angels, former White Sox himself, Hector All-Star Santiago.
And Hector is wrapping up his warm-up tosses. We're moments away from the start of today's ball game. The home plate umpire will be Brian Knight. And on the bases, we'll have umpires Alfonso Marquez, Jim Reynolds, and Adam Hamari. The dimensions here at Tempe Diablo Stadium. 340 to left field. It goes 420 out there to dead center. And down the right field corner, 360. And in the alleys in left center and right center, right around 400 feet. A bit on the overcast side here today. Bit of a cloud cover as we get started. Sun will be peeking in and out during the course of the ball game. And we are just about ready for Monday afternoon baseball. Angels split squad and the Chicago White Sox, another Angels club, getting ready to start their ball game in Goodyear against the Cincinnati Reds. So Hector Santiago has the sign, and here's the game's first pitch. It's right in there for a called strike. We're underway. The count 0-1. J.B. Shuck is the batter, and the former Angel spent time with the White Sox a year ago. Hit .266. Left-handed batter. Fouls that one off on the left side. Backing out of play. 72 degrees. That's usually the game time temperature at the Big A.
Love that.
Infield is playing it backed up. Outfield shading Shuck a little bit the opposite way. Left-handed batter, and the next pitch. He slaps it on the left side. Ray Navarro boots the ball. It was hit right at him, and it skipped away from him. So not a real good start there defensively. That's an error all the way. That should have been an easy out.
It should have been an easy out. Here we go as you try to get your feet in rhythm with your hands, and the jump that you get, and Navarro got his feet caught.
So Shuck is on. He can run a little bit. He has very good speed, but he's never been a real big base stealer. He had 7 stolen bases last year in 79 games. Batter now is Brett Lawrie, who's been moving around in recent years. Now with the White Sox. Saw him with the A's last season. Cuts and fouls the first pitch back out of play.
He brings a ton of energy to the White Sox ball club. The Canadian Brett Lawrie has found a home now at second base with the A's last year. 16 home runs, 60 RBIs.
He's a right-handed hitter. The homers and RBIs career highs for him last year as he backs out of the box. Jose Abreu waiting on deck. Here's the pitch on Laurie, and that's a little bit low and in.
Laurie featuring the gladiator look with a eye black today. He's always been a feisty player, and one that has been quite welcomed in that clubhouse with the White Sox.
Very aggressive hitter, only 28 walks last year and 562 at bats. His on-base percentage was .299 last year, so certainly something he'd like to improve on. Here's the pitch, and he cuts it that one and fouls it back.
He is quite aggressive, and of course, on-base percentage needs to improve if he's going to hit in the top of the order for Robin Ventura to set things up for the big man coming up next. There's a fine line between taking away from his game and what he needs to do according to where he's hitting, too.
Hector ready, next pitch. Late with the swing. That one's fouled off over on the right side, backing out of play.
But Terry goes back to so many players that come back and tell you, I bailed myself out in that at bat. And usually the answer comes from because it was a ball. So, yeah, there's a way in which you can, make sure you don't fall into the same traffic, because the guys on the mound with so much information nowadays can pound it time and time again and make you to chase outside the zone.
Next pitch, runner goes, pitches high, throw down to second, a one-hop throw in time. So that was a nice job there by Petit to handle that one-hop throw from the catcher Giovanni Soto.
Wow, if there's any doubt about Soto's time and release, that was extremely quick. And with the lefty on the mound, it seemed like J.B. Shuck had gotten a pretty decent jump. And as you say, Terry, Petit, nice job picking it up and leaving that tag exactly there.
So it goes 2-4 on the caught stealing catcher to the second baseman, applying the tag. That's the game's first out, and the 2-2 pitch, and there's a cut and a miss, and he got him, struck him out. Laurie is retired now. 2 outs, no one on for Abreu.
Hector, nice job bouncing back again. Strong glove side, that fastball cutting in nicely in on Laurie.
So Abreu, the batter, .290 batting average last season, 30 homers, drove in 101. He was the Rookie of the Year in the American League back in 2014 and had a nice second season with the White Sox a year ago.
He admitted also how much more challenging the second season was, because he goes, wow, people know so much about you, and it was a season of adjustments. And he said, of course, back in Cuba, I didn't have to worry so much about the consistency and adjustments against you when you're playing.
1 ball, 1 strike is the count on the Cuban native, and the pitch lifts it on the right side. That is a foul ball. It's going to get back near the first row, out of play.
We talk about Cuba. Abreu was part of that group that visited Cuba on a goodwill trip by Major League Baseball, and a large contingency, along with Alexi Ramirez, Brian Pena, Yasiel Puig, Clayton Kershaw. It's terrific. And for these Cuban players going back, it was beyond emotional. Abreu hadn't seen his son in a couple of years.
There's a pitch that just missed inside to him. 2-2 the count. Well, Major League Baseball sending a couple of clubs to Cuba in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Rays will be playing the Cuban national team.
Yeah. Here's the pitch. That's grounded on the right side, and that's going to be a 2-out hit.
That's beautiful hitting right there.
Abreu went the opposite way.
You saw early in the at-bat when the second baseman Petit's looking into the Angels dugout saying, you want me to shift a little bit more towards the middle. And for a guy like Abreu, who depends so much on using the whole field, that is only going to be a plus with that approach of 2 strikes.
So newcomer Todd Frazier will be the next batter. And he was one of the big acquisitions during the offseason for these White Sox.
This guy's a fun player to watch, man.
And the pitch, he lines that one, and it's caught by the shortstop Navarro. Did a good job with that one. That ball was really hit, and Navarro stayed with it. Had to reach up and nab it, and the inning ends on the liner to the Angels shortstop. Not much happening here for the White Sox in the top of the inning. We go to the bottom of the first. There's no score in Tempe on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Bottom of the first inning, and batter number one for the Angels today will be the third baseman Yunel Escobar. Eric Johnson, right-hander on the mound. Had a 3-1 record, 6 starts with the White Sox a year ago. Pitched mostly in AAA and had a very solid season last year. Good ERA, very good at AAA, 2.37. Here's the pitch, and that's outside. It misses ball 2. 2-0 the count.
Very unique guy in his mannerisms out there on the mound. Even between innings warming up, I'm like, sounds a little bit of Mark Fidrich in him.
And the next pitch, a ball popped up on the first base side, foul, but playable, and camping under, making the grab is Abreu. Escobar retired, foul ground, first base side. Rafael Ortega, who's the left fielder for the Angels, will be the second batter. Eric Johnson went to Cal Berkeley. He was the International League Pitcher of the Year last year. And he's battling for a spot in the White Sox rotation.
As is a number and a name that you know very well, Terry, Matt Latos.
Yeah.
Latos was signed on the second week of February into a one-year contract, trying to make the team.
Here's a little pop on the left side. Chasing after it is the shortstop, and making the grab on that one is the shortstop, and that is out number 2. Saladino making the play. Here's Mike Trout. Trout so far here in the Cactus League is 3 for 7. He's driven in a run.
Angels still looking for the first home run.
Right-hander against right-hander, the pitch. That's low and outside for a ball. Johnson, fastball, slider, curveball. He doesn't use that pitch that much, and he'll throw a changeup. Next pitch, a little bit low. So Trout has worked a 2-0 count. Albert Pujols, who made his Cactus League debut yesterday, waits on deck. And the next one way outside on Trout, 3-0.
I'm liking these jerseys right here with the White Sox. Little retro.
They have on the black tops and the gray pants.
I love the left side there with the old Sox sign.
have that logo on their jersey front. There's one fouled off by Trout. He had the green light on that 3-0. Fouls it off down the right side, 3-1. Angels go red tops, white pants today. Here's the next pitch, and on the 3-1, Trout takes low, so he has a 2-out walk, and that'll give Albert Pujols an at-bat with a runner on.
The 3-0 green light leads to a 3-1 slider, and I think Mike Trout did a fine job there thinking with the pitcher. He had timed that fastball well on the foul ball, and he did a good job tracking down that slider down in the zone.
So let's see if Trout might be on the move. Good size lead, not going. The pitch, low and away, ball one. Jose alluded just a moment. The Angels have yet to hit a home run so far in the first 5 Cactus League games, and the Angels have had just 1 stolen base so far in the first 5 games, and that one was by Cliff Pennington. Here's the pitch. That's outside.
Well, Pujols is up, and I think we all know what happens against Pujols defensively. Just shifted really on the infield. Much different look as he sprays the ball more in the air. That is, the White Sox have more of a straight-up approach with the outfielders. Right side wide open.
Here's the pitch. There goes Trout, and the pitch is low, and the throw is late. So that's a stolen base. Trout got a good jump, and the throw was on the third base side of second. So a pretty easy stolen base for Mike Trout.
Why wait? You got to go out there and work at it. Started with a pretty decent lead, and you could see the lean even on Mike Trout towards second base. Got to take some chances.
Count on Albert's 3-0. See if he gets a green light. And he thought about chasing that one, but lays off it. It's ball 4. So back-to-back 2-out walks have put a pair on for Cole Calhoun.
Oh, the other thing that there's a perception out there where many people think that Pujols doesn't want Trout to run in front of him. Not true. Disregard that. Not true. Pujols says, if anything, I'm used to that because I came from St. Louis, and Tony La Russa always had people running in front of me. So Trout not running has nothing to do with Pujols not wanting him to run.
So here's Cole Calhoun. First pitch on Cole. That's in there for a strike. I want to remind poker fans you can play in the Gardens Casino $30,000 guarantee no limit hold'em tournament. That's this Friday. Visit thegardenscasino.com for more info, and please play responsibly. Angels have a 2-out first inning threat. 2 on. 0-1 pitch. Lifted in the air. Shallow left field. Coming in is Sands. Still coming over. And he drops the ball. Coming in and scoring will be Trout. Runners at second and third. Well, Sands had a long run on that one. The shortstop Saladino was chasing. It was hit very shallow, very close to the left field line. And Jerry Sands got some glove on it as he kind of reached down trying to catch it before it was about ready to drop. And it skipped off his glove. He couldn't hold on.
Well, Calhoun gets the RBI. He gets a hit. And it's all as to where Sands was playing. Calhoun thought he had fouled that ball off. It was going to be out of play. But a long run for Sands. And very tough to go out there and reach out when it's that low on your throwing arm side.
So the batter now is Crone, and the pitch gets away from the catcher Navarro, and breaking for the plate and scoring from third base is Albert Pujols. It's now 2-0. So Albert breaks in and scores.
Well, Albert had to make the run from first to third. He looked fine getting to third base on the single by Calhoun on the pop-up, and now he had no hesitation whatsoever. So as we always say about Albert, it's not a matter of him babying himself back into playing shape or condition with that foot. Is once he says, I'm playing, it's all out. And there it was again.
Next pitch, and that one a little bit low ball, 2-0.
Think how many people in a situation would say, for me to really go out there and test this foot where I had surgery in November, I'm going to play it as safely as possible.
Here's the next delivery. That ball's hit well in the right field, but it's hanging up for Coates. He will make the catch, and that's how the inning will end. The Angels come up with a pair of 2-out runs here in the bottom of the first. Take a 2-0 lead to the second on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. This copyrighted broadcast presented by authority of Angels Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of today's game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Angels Baseball. Jerry Sands leads the inning off for Chicago and grounds one through the left side into left center. First ball swinging, a leadoff hit. So the White Sox have their second hit against Santiago. And the Honor Navarro will be the next batter. Navarro is a switch hitter, so he'll bat right here against Hector. He was with Toronto last year and was a backup catcher last season.
He was one of 3 catchers the Blue Jays carried. And the additional one, of course, because of the knuckleballer R.A. Dickey and Josh Tolley.
Yep. Russell Martin, the #1 catcher, and the pitch, that one is outside on him for ball 1. It's 1-0. Navarro hit .246 last year. Appeared in only 54 games.
At one point, Navarro said, well, I think it's better if they move me. I need to be playing somewhere.
Here's the next pitch, and that one misses. Well, before they signed Martin, he was the everyday catcher.
He was. Of course, the Jays had the tremendous offense and the MVP and Josh Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion, and company.
Next delivery, that's well hit down the left field side. That is tight to the line down in the left field corner, and that one is gone. Home run ball was a problem a year ago for Santiago. It gives the White Sox a couple runs here to tie things up.
Well, there's enough information being passed along, I'm quite sure, by our good friend Don Cooper, Terry, out there, the White Sox pitching coach, on Hector and his approach. Just a poorly located fastball up in the zone. Navarro, free swinger himself. Top hand hitter with that right side, took advantage of it.
So at the plate now is Jason Coates.
How about Coop, Terry? Huh?
He's a character.
Yes, he is. He's a good one, too.
one of the highly respected pitching coaches for a number of years now in the majors. Here's the pitch, and that's on the outside part of the plate. And I know Don Cooper has publicly stated this since last season, but he felt bad that he wasn't able to really get Jeff Samardzija going last year. Took some responsibility for that because he has a lot of pride in what he has done in the past with other pitchers. He said, I just couldn't get him to where he needed to be. And, of course, Samardzija now has moved on. We saw him in the opener in the Cactus League now with the Giants, signed a big deal with him. But he had a very disappointing year last year with the White Sox.
Well, Don Cooper does as good a job as anyone in getting guys ready to pitch. That's why they led the American League in quality starts. I mean, there's a mentality there as to finishing off strong and going out there and not giving in that 4th or 5th inning.
2-2 pitch gets Coates. He swings and misses that one. Struck him out. So that's a first out. And Daniel Fields will be the next batter. Left-handed hitter. He was in the Tigers organization. His dad used to be the Tigers hitting coach, Bruce Fields.
Bruce Fields, good left-handed hitter himself.
Here's the pitch, and he thought about going after that one. Checks the swing. It is a strike.
Good to see Hector bounce back after the strikeout to Coates by going to something else and implementing that slurve.
Next pitch. And that one, a pitch that misses. It evens up the count. 1-1. It's a 2-2 game. We're in the top of the second.
And Hector will tell you sometimes it is a hybrid. It's not a true slider. It's not a true curveball, but he likes to vary it and keep it sometimes as a slurve.
There's one that's cut on and missed. White Sox playing long ball, and they've hit a few already this spring. We mentioned the Angels have yet to homer. The White Sox have had 8 home runs now so far this spring. Ball and 2 strikes to count. And Fields backs out of the box. He played mostly in AAA last year. Hit only .228. Lefty-lefty matchup. Santiago's 2-strike pitch. Got him swinging. Struck him out. Kind of spun him around chasing that pitch. Very late on the swing. 3rd strikeout of the day for Hector. Now 2 outs in the inning, and here's the 9-hole hitter, the shortstop, Saladino.
For a young hitter, what Santiago did was remarkable there in setting him up by throwing slow stuff early in the count, got him chasing and looking, and then pretty much slowing down his bat as the at-bat progressed.
So Saladino at the plate. And there's one that misses inside. Saladino, and that one got a piece of him. Just got a piece of him. He's hit by the pitch. So he's on with 2 outs. J.B. Shuck will be the next batter. Saladino trots at first base. He's trying to win the shortstop job. Alexi Ramirez had a stranglehold on that for a number of years, going back to the days of their championship.
A very dependable Alexi Ramirez. Juan Uribe was a shortstop for the White Sox when they won back in 2005. Ramirez came over from Cuba and took over that job, but now Ramirez with the Padres.
And there's a pickoff toss. Runner goes. Relay up to second. Waiting with the tag and applying it is Navarro, and the inning is over. So Hector picks off Saladino. He hit him, and then he picks him off. So the inning ends. It goes 1-3-6 at second base. A pair of runs, though, for the White Sox to tie it. 2-2 is the score as we go to the bottom of the second on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. First batter up for the Angels is the catcher, Giovanni Soto. And here's the first pitch. It's chopped right to short. Saladino has it, and the throw a little bit low, but handled by Abreu. One pitch and one away here in the Angels' second inning.
Nice hustle down the line by Giovanni Soto against his former ball club.
Ray Navarro, the switch-hitting shortstop, will be the next batter. Gone 2 for 6 so far this spring. He bats from the left side, and Johnson's pitch misses for ball one. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
There's enough information on Navarro, AAA in the big leagues, as to why their third baseman is playing so shallow.
There's another one that's low and in.
Immediately you can tell who bunts more into which side more, which is why the right side of the infield is not playing as close in.
There's a pitch that misses again. 3-0 the count. Eric Johnson walked a couple last inning, and they both scored. This is his first start this spring, and the next pitch, and that's a pitch in there. High strike, and it's 3-1. Frazier, the third baseman, is backed up. Next delivery, he takes another one, so a pitch is in there. All 5 pitches have been taken by Navarro. 3 have been out of the zone. Last 2 have been in there.
Johnson doing a good job. We got a little cut to that fastball, too. We've seen a couple of hitters give up on it.
Payoff pitch, fouled off on the left side, out of play. It's 2-2 here in the bottom of the second. Score update brought to you by Experian. Get serious about your credit by visiting Experian.com. Gregorio Petit waiting on deck, and the payoff once again. That one is pulled down the right field side. Down the right side, it will land foul. So Navarro turned on that pitch, gave it a pretty good ride, but a foul ball. Here's the 3-2. It's lifted in the air in a shallow right center. The second baseman, Laurie, is going to be called up by the center fielder. That's J.B. Shuck, and he'll make the catch in shallow center for out number 2.
Well, Terry, immediately with the signing of Austin Jackson, who was signed just a few hours ago, officially by the White Sox, it adds a different dimension to their outfield with Cabrera, with Eaton, of course, and Abisail Garcia.
Here's the pitch. That's a strike on the outside corner. You would think that Austin Jackson will play center and Eaton will move over to left.
Yeah, I'm thinking that was the only condition for him to sign with the White Sox, that he is a center fielder.
There's a cut and a miss.
Besides the Benjamin condition on the money.
2 strikes to count here on Petit. Right-handed batter. He's 0 for 1 so far this spring, and he takes that one outside.
Good job by Petit not giving up on that fastball. He'll cut it away last minute, or he'll run it back in. And Johnson's working pretty fast. Gotta like that.
He's ready on the 1-2, and that one is outside. Yeah, we've heard in the past that Johnson is kind of a slow worker, so maybe they're looking to speed him up a little bit. He's pitching not faster today. That one is high.
Hey, is that Coop effect? Coop has one of the best ever on Mark Burley and that stuff for so many years.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. That's lifted foul over on the right side, backing out of play.
Terry, sometimes when you read in the offseason and you put in your little book, has to be pliable. You know that, right?
It is a game of adjustments, Jose. And so a slow worker can become a fast worker, and vice versa.
Or be encouraged at least to be one.
Here's one lifted in the air into left center field. Backpedaling now under, making the grab is Jerry Sams, the left fielder. Petit gave it a pretty good ride, but he's retired, and the Angels go down 1-2-3 here in the bottom of the second. So 2 in the books. The third is next, tied at 2 in Tempe on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Fans, don't forget, take part in the Angels 5K and Fun Run presented by St. Joseph Hoag Health on April the 9th at the Big A. All participants receive a commemorative shirt and a finisher's medal. Register today at angels.com/5K. First batter up is J.B. Shuck. He lifts a lazy fly ball to left field, and circling under and making the grab on that one is Rafael Ortega. So one pitch, one quick out. Santiago now in his third inning. He had thrown 29 pitches over the first 2 innings. And the batter now was Brett Lawrie.
There's this 1 inning for Hector to get to those 45 plus or minus, to pound more zone and go out there. Now that you have 30 pitches under your belt, expand, get a feel for other pitches, change the pattern a little bit, just like that.
The first one on Lawrie, and that is in there. Good breaking pitch for a called strike.
That's changing the pattern. Good job right there.
0-1. That's way outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
One thing Hector wants to do better, of course, is that follow through. Not necessarily, he says, all about staying in the lane, but about what his left foot does as he drags it over and he lands.
There's one foul back to the screen behind home plate. Angels are under the watchful eye of owner Artie Moreno. Artie and his wife Carol in their customary seats right near the Angels dugout and right behind where the coaching staff sits. There's a cut and a miss at a 1-2 pitch, and down on strikes for the second time today goes Lawrie. That's the 4th strikeout overall for Santiago. 2 outs now, and Abreu will be the next batter. We'll check out the Dodge Out-of-Town scoreboard here on this Monday in just a moment. Brought to you by the Dodge Challenger with an estimated 30 miles per gallon highway. This car was made for driving. Visit Dodge.com. Here's the next pitch. And that one misses ball 1. In the Florida Grapefruit League, number of finals. Phillies shut out the Pirates 1-0. Toronto beat Atlanta 3-1. Minnesota blanked Baltimore 3-0. There's a cut and a ball tip foul. 8th inning, Washington leads Miami 6-4. 8th inning, a Mets split squad trailing St. Louis 7-4. 9th inning, Tampa Bay and Boston 2-2. Mets split squad has a 6-2 lead against Detroit in the 8th inning. Lucas Duda is homered for the Mets in that one. And checking the Angels' other split squad game today, Reds are leading the Angels split squad in Goodyear 3-0 in the top of the 3rd. Matt Shoemaker started that ball game for the Angels in Goodyear. Pitch was fouled back behind the plate. 2-2 on Abreu.
Dino Ebel in charge of that squad over there today. Angels bench coach.
Here's the next pitch, and that's fouled off. Yeah, Dino was kind of taking a head count earlier today, kind of kidding around with the reporters, wondering which ones were going to go to that game as opposed to stay here in Tempe for this ball game.
And the answer was 1 out of 5, maybe?
At best. And then Dino said, well, hey, guys, I'm going to have a lot of quotes and some good little tidbits for you if you come over to Goodyear. So I don't know if anyone took the bait on that. 2-2. Lifted down the right field side, and that is a fair ball. It's going to bounce all the way down to the 360 sign. Abreu will go to second base, and he is there with an easy 2-out double. So he's 2 for 2.
Absolutely hit. And the one thing the White Sox and people around the American League found out very quickly with Jose Abreu was, of course, he never played minor league baseball, but he, in his rookie season, just was a solid hitter against top pitching. I'm talking big names where he just go out there and put together some quality at bats and produce and slug the ball around. Not just feeding off your number 4, number 5, or the guy out of that bullpen that really didn't have a prominent role, but boy, he proved right away what a quality hitter he is.
So here's Todd Frazier batting. 2-2 game in the 3rd. Runner at second, 2 outs. Frazier lined out the short, hit the ball hard his first time up, takes that one low.
Always a nice connection. Mike Trout and Todd Frazier.
Couple of Jersey boys.
Jersey boy that actually shared a charter flight last year around the All-Star game. Todd Frazier always having a good time playing baseball, man. You cannot beat that.
He's from Toms River, New Jersey, Todd Frazier. And that's, not too far away from the New York City area. It's northern Jersey. And then Mike Trout is from South Jersey, Millville, which is kind of in between Atlantic City and Philadelphia. Two balls and no strikes. Moving back in the batter's box is Frazier, and here comes the next pitch. That one is a little bit low.
Well, third base, of course, needed a huge upgrade for the Chicago White Sox. Reason is third basemen's combined hit .226, 13 home runs, 50 RBIs, and they slugged .345 for the White Sox last year. All third basemen combined. Now they get a true slugger in a ballpark that could be ideal for him, as was the one in Cincinnati.
Well, a guy that played third base for both the White Sox and the Angels last season, Connor Gillespie, first with the White Sox, and the Angels picked him up, and now Soto wants to go out and have a word with Santiago before a 3-0 pitch here.
And Gillespie already hit a home run against the Angels here in the spring.
So we'll see if they give Frazier a green light. Soto might have been talking about that, and that pitch is way high and outside, and that's a 4-pitch walk. So first two were retired. The next two have gotten on with 2 outs, and here's Sands. It's the first walk given up by Santiago today.
After nearing the pitch limit, should be around the 45-50 mark. He's at 44 right now. Sands a good mistake hitter himself. Limited time last year. Cleveland, 4 home runs, 19 RBIs.
It's a guy who's played a lot in the minors. He's had some good power years in the minors, and there's a pitch in there for a strike. Right-handed hitting Jerry Sands. He's 28 years old. Sands was with the Dodgers for a few seasons. Here's the pitch. That's low and in. 1 ball, 1 strike.
These are situations that followed Hector Santiago a lot last season. Men on base or runners in scoring position. And with runners in scoring position, he was one of the best in baseball in limiting the damage. Opponents had only 197 against Hector in these types of situations here.
Count is even, and the 1-1. Cut and a miss. 1-2 the count. The Angels bat in the bottom of the third. Right now we're tied at 2. Angels will send up the top of the batting order. Escobar, Ortega, and Trout. We'll see if Johnson stays in the ballgame. Their bullpen is quiet. It is Eric Johnson's first appearance this spring. Here's the next delivery, and checking on that one is Sands. That pitch is high. Angels went for an appeal. Got it, but they say he was holding. 2-2 the count. Want to remind Angel fans that every fan matters when the Angels take on the Rangers. Thursday, April 7th through the 10th. Fans in attendance on Thursday, April 7th receive a Trout Pujols double bobblehead, courtesy of Pechanga Resort and Casino while supplies last. You can visit Angels.com to purchase your tickets today. 2-2 delivery with 2 on. That one is swung on and missed. He got him, struck him out.
That's right. He's got to beat him with a fastball, and Hector went right after him. Good job.
Elevated fastball, pair of strikeouts in the inning, and Santiago with 5 in his 3 innings of work. He's likely finished for the day. Bottom of the third is next. 2-2 in Tempe on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Yuno Escobar, first batter up for the Angels, bottom of the third in a 2-2 ball game. Escobar popped out to the first baseman, Abreu, in foul ground his first time up.
Terry, I can tell you that berm in left field with the youngsters right now running around is very busy. And mom and dad are just enjoying a good time. They can see the kids in front of them. They can get a little tired, and it's all part of the tradition, the culture here in spring training.
Not quite as crowded out there today as it was yesterday when we had over 9,000. So there's a little more daylight for the kids to run around out there. Yesterday they would have been bumping into people like crazy.
Let them run, let them roll. Loving that.
Here's the 2-0. Escobar fouls it off on the right side, backing out of play. Angels tomorrow will take on the D-backs at Salt River Fields at the Talking Stick and in the Scottsdale area. Garrett Richards will pitch for the Angels. Here's one bounced on the left side. The third baseman Frazier has it. His throw is in time, and Escobar is retired for the first out. That's 5 in a row retired now by Eric Johnson.
Well, the big man at first base also showing how light he is on his feet. With Frazier throwing across, that ball dropping a little bit and running on him. Abreu does a fine job understanding where the runner is and how far he has to accommodate his feet and make the out.
At the plate for the Angels now is Rafael Ortega. And the first pitch low and inside on him. Ortega, left-handed batter, will spray the ball around a bit. Here's the pitch. He lines that one into right center field. That's going to drop in for a hit. Ball cut off by Coates. Ortega can run. He's headed for second, and he dives in there safely with a one-out double. Well, Ortega's a guy we didn't know a whole lot about coming into camp. Cardinals organization, AAA last year. Solid batting average in the minors, and he can steal. We've already seen how well he can play the outfield, and he's opening up some eyes.
Yes, he has. Early opportunities are really allowing him to go out there and flash those abilities, those skills in many aspects of his game.
So here's Trout with a chance to drive him in. You got to think a single brings in the speedy Ortega. He has a nice size lead at second. First pitch on Mike, and that one is lifted high and deep into left center field. It is out of here. Home run, Mike Trout. That's his first this spring. That's the Angels' first this spring. And the Angels now with a 4-2 lead.
As always, rising to the occasion as Mike Trout gives the Angels a lead and puts the Angels on the board and on the home run column here for spring training. Absolutely no doubt. All this swing is pretty much a culmination of his preparation of his previous at-bat when he laid off that slider. Timed it perfectly.
There's Albert grounding one sharply, but it's hit right at Frazier, the third baseman, and his throw will get him. So that's the second out. Pujols retired on one pitch. Cole Calhoun will be the next batter. Eric Johnson, in the 6 starts that he had last year with the White Sox, he gave up 8 home runs in 35 innings. So the home run ball, a little bit of a sore spot for him, and it gets him here today in his first start this spring. Batter now is Cole Calhoun with the Angels up by a pair.
Good idea. Show bunt. Now they have a heavy shift on Cole Calhoun. Showed bunt once, took the pitch. Just put it into the opponent's head that once in a while you might do that.
There's Calhoun showing bunt again, and it's 2-0.
Good.
Let's pause for stations to identify themselves here on the Angels Baseball Radio Network. There's Calhoun dropping down a bunt foul on the third base side. So he's determined to try and drop one in over there.
That tells you how hard it is to bunt. We're not used to it, especially. And they're giving it to him. He stood up and bunted, just did not have the right angle with his bat and bunted for foul.
Here's the pitch, and that's off speed. It had him fooled. He waves and misses that one.
And I think we're all aware as to how Cole Calhoun is going to be productive for the Angels is by swinging the bat. But once in a while, you know, you're in a dry spot, they're giving it to you. Use it.
Count even 2-2. Lined into right field. Coates is there waiting. It was hit right at him, and that's how the inning will end. But on a 2-run homer by Mike Trout here in the third, the Angels back on top. It's 4-2 Angels headed to the fourth on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels will go to the bullpen, so Hector Santiago's day is over. He ends up going 3 innings. Hector gave up 4 hits, including a homer, 2 runs earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, and he hit a batter.
There's a guy out there beyond the fence fishing for trout. See that out in the berm? There's a lot of things happening in that berm today that are fun to watch here in spring training.
The Mike Trout home run ball. There were some interesting things going on. We'll get into that. For those that are watching the action on Fox Sports West, you'll be able to see what we're describing. There are ones on our Angels Baseball Radio Network. We'll try to fill you in on the details. There's a pitch. It's a ball. The count 1 ball, no strikes. At the plate is Navarro. And his first time up in the ball game, he hit a 2-run homer. That was against Hector Santiago. Alvarez is set. Here's the next pitch, and that one is in there for a strike.
You were always taught not to try to take candy from the kids.
That's right.
That's all we're going to say right now.
That's a good lead-in, Jose, to the Trout home run. And here's the pitch. Chopped over on the left side. It's right at the shortstop. Easy play for Navarro. His throw is in time. So when Mike Trout hit the home run, and that was last inning, the 2-run homer, there were a bunch of youngsters that went chasing after that ball. It dropped on the grass berm area out in left center field.
Now there are 2 balls around.
Right.
Now.
And what happened was one of the kids that was chasing must have had a ball in his glove, but obviously he wanted to get the Mike Trout home run ball. So there were a pile of maybe 4 or 5 kids. Here's another ground ball that's hit to short. Long throw this time by Navarro, and he got it there in time. Boy, that was a nice play to get Coates to his first ball swinging. So a pair of ground outs, 2 are gone, and Daniel Fields will be the batter. Anyway, when the kids were all going after the home run ball that Trout hit, one of the youngsters must have had a ball in his glove that he brought to the ballpark, and that ball fell out of his glove, and a guy that was out in the grass berm area saw that loose ball. He was thinking it was the Trout home run ball. He ran after it, picked it up, and went running back to where he was lying down out there in the grassy area, thinking he had Trout's home run ball. Meantime, that was just the kid's ball that he brought to the ballpark.
He walks away trotting, oh, so proud, chest puffed up, and the kids are fighting for the real thing.
Yeah. And then the guy gets back, I guess, with his group and says, I got the Trout homer. And they go, no, you didn't. He said, sure I do. I have the ball right in my hand. It wasn't the Trout home run ball, though. Hope he returns the ball back to the kid that brought that ball to the ballpark. There's one that's fouled back by Fields. 2 balls and 1 strike on him.
That's an outstanding find there by our TV production crew. Terry, leave the candy alone. It's not yours.
That's right. Well, it's going to be Easter time before you know it. That was like a Easter egg hunt out there trying to locate that Trout home run ball. Here's ball 3. 3-1 the count.
I think it's almost like everybody anticipated, even up here, like who would hit the Angels' first home run this spring? Well, who else?
Right. Not a big shock there. And here's the next pitch. And on the 3-1, that's inside. That's ball 4. So Fields draws a walk.
The Trout-Pujols combination last year, 81 home runs. Trout 41, Pujols 40. Pujols led the team in RBIs with 95. Trout had 90 RBIs. Which just serves to tell you how good Mike Trout is in producing and being himself a guy that sets the table for Pujols so many times.
Here's Saladino, their shortstop, 9-hole hitter. He goes after pitch 1 and fouls that one off on the right side. With the Angels bat in the bottom of the 4th, Crone, Soto, and Navarro. And there has been some action in the bullpen for the White Sox. White Sox this spring have a 2-1-1 record, and the Angels are 2-3. 0-1 pitch, low and inside. Ball and a strike. Flags here today at Tempe Diablo Stadium at half-staff in honor of former First Lady Nancy Reagan, who passed away yesterday. Here's the pitch. There's a fly ball lifted into right center field. Cole Calhoun is chasing, has a beat on it, and makes the running catch as his momentum takes him out on the track in right center. Alvarez has a scoreless inning. We're headed to the bottom of the 4th. 4-2 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. We have a new pitcher for the White Sox as we start the bottom of the fourth inning. Nate Jones replaces Eric Johnson. Johnson worked 3 innings. He allowed 3 hits, 4 runs. All the runs were earned. Gave up 2 walks in the strikeout department, did not have any. Threw a wild pitch and gave up a home run. So here's the first delivery from Nate Jones, who can really throw hard. He has a very unusual delivery, and the first pitch of ball to count 1-0.
As many people like to refer to nowadays, this guy can miss a lot of barrels.
There's the pitch on its way, and that one is outside on Cron. It's almost like he's throwing a javelin the way he delivers the ball to the plate, the way that arm goes back before releasing the ball to home plate. That one's fouled back. Not going to see very many pitchers throw this way.
You're right. I mean, there's times when young pitchers are discouraged from doing this when they don't possess the velocity because you're showing the hitter the ball, the grip, and all the white. But when you throw that hard and you have a little bit of that funky delivery, if it works, forget about it.
Here's the next pitch. Chopped on the third base side. It's right at Frazier. His throw across the diamond is in time to get Cron, who's now 0 for 2. Giovanni Soto will be the batter. Nate Jones had Tommy John elbow surgery back in July of 2014, and he ended up pitching last year for the White Sox.
How about that?
Got into 19 games, and so he made a rapid recovery from that surgery.
Think about that is how much the procedure has advanced and how much has been specialized, but also the rehab aspect of it and how much more emphasis there is put on things that are really needed to shorten that time. Yeah. Of course, it all depends on the body too, who is recovering. Many guys, it is a year and a half, sometimes more.
In his case, it was basically 13 months, and the pitch that is cut on and missed. And the thing that was remarkable about it, he was throwing 100 miles an hour again.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That quick.
Yeah. 13 months from surgery.
Velocity usually does come back.
Next delivery, that one is cut on and missed, and not much happening there for Soto in that at bat as he goes down on the strikeout. So Jones has retired the first 2. Hey, Jones also signed a 3-year deal during the offseason with the White Sox. They liked what they saw from him coming back from the elbow injury.
He had a 35% swing and miss ratio. 35% last season. The team average was 24%.
Here's the next batter for the Angels, Navarro, and he pops one up foul on the third base side and near the stands just past the White Sox dugout. Making the grab on that one is Todd Frazier, and it's a quick 1-2-3 inning for Jones. Angels go down 1-2-3 in the 4th. 5th inning is coming up. Halos have a 4-2 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Driven by your New pitcher for the Angels as we head to the top of the 5th inning. Fernando Salas takes over for Jose Alvarez. Alvarez retired 3 of 4. Did not allow any hits or runs, walked the batter in his 1 inning of work. And now Salas will take over. And for Fernando Salas, this will be his 2nd appearance this spring. He's worked a scoreless inning so far. Today's game being brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. That's what a hamburger's all about. Angels have 4 runs on 3 hits. The White Sox 2 runs on 4 hits. First batter up will be J.B. Shuck, who has reached on an error and flied out. Sun shining brightly right now here at Tempe Diablo Stadium. And there's one that's high and away on the left-handed hitting Shuck.
Good job, Jose Alvarez, bouncing back after giving up a 2-run homer to Addison Russell, his first time out here this spring.
There's the pitch on its way, and that one is in there for a strike.
Terry, arms to pick from. You got Joe Smith, of course, setting up for Houston Street. And I know we have some news on Houston Street, but you got Morin, you got Albuquerque, you got Salas, got Alvarez. Many in that mix.
There's a cut and a miss.
Got Bedrosian.
Yep. We have a couple of Guerras trying to make the squad as a reliever.
You have Javi and the Oldies.
Right.
Guerra.
Counts 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here's Fernando Salas' next pitch. That's fouled back behind the plate. Houston Street is yet to pitch so far this spring, and he's been slowed down a little bit by some calf tightness. He has thrown a simulated game, and he's getting closer to appearing in a Cactus League game for the Angels. Angels are taking things slowly with him right now. Here's a bouncing ball hit to Navarro, the shortstop. His throw is not in time at first base. Shuck can run. There's no challenges here.
And Mike Scioscia does want to know from the first base umpire what he saw there. Mike Scioscia walking along the front of the dugout.
C.J. Cron's reaction was he certainly felt that he was out. And that will be scored an infield hit.
J.B. Shuck flying down that line. A ball that was hit fairly hard.
So Shuck is on. Nobody out. Tying run at the plate. Here's Laurie, and that's right in there, a called strike. Also on the pitching front, Tyler Skaggs threw a bullpen today, so he's yet to see any action so far in the Cactus League, coming back from the Tommy John elbow surgery. Here's a bouncing ball hit the short. Looks like 2. Flip to second. Relay to first. It is a double play. That was tailor-made, and the Angels executed it nicely on defense.
It's a nice job there. Get the ball to me right away. And Navarro's been busy out there. Terry, today is Monday, which is, of course, Moda Mondays tonight on Twitter. And Giovanni Soto, who openly will tell you what an influence and effect the Molina brothers have had on him. He works out with Yadier in the offseason in Puerto Rico. Well, Moda Mondays tonight. That's at 8 p.m. Pacific. The Molina brothers will make their appearances and talk to the fans and answer your questions, talk about their story. The book, which is the story of the father who raised an unlikely baseball dynasty. 3 brothers with multiple World Championship rings. That's on Moda Mondays, all on Fox Sports West Twitter.
There's a line shot into center. That's going to fall in a few feet in front of Trout for a base hit. So Jose Abreu is 3 for 3. 2-out single. Now,
Terry, you can check it out. I know you go on Twitter once in a while, so just go in and check it out. I know you do.
Are you going to be in contact with all 3 of the Molina brothers?
We have 2 confirmed, and because of the time in Florida, because Yadier wakes up at 4 in the morning, he is working on sending us a recorded message.
Okay.
Yes, as we have done already with Howie Kendrick, with Torrey Hunter.
Wow, you have this thing well coordinated, Jose, and I'm not surprised by any stretch.
Well, we have to make it easy for the fans, and it's all about connecting fans with everything we're exposed to and, of course, spoiled with.
Sounds like a good edition of Moto Mondays.
Terry.
Yeah.
Just when you go in, just use hashtag Moto Mondays and we'll start a Terry Smith trend. A hashtag Terry Smith radio.
Well, we have our social media days on the Angels Baseball Radio Network.
That grew a lot, right?
We were trending in Los Angeles for that, so that was exciting. We're going to do that again probably once a month this year on the Angels Baseball Radio Network. We'll have a social media day. Have a lot of fun with that. Here's the 0-2 on Frazier, and he skies one in the air into left center field. This should be an easy play for Ortega. He puts it away, and that's how the inning will end. A couple hits given up by Salas, but no runs. We're headed to the bottom of the fifth. It's 4-2 Angels on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Four-two Angels, bottom of the fifth we go here in Tempe. Fans, here's the deal. 1995 gets you Proactive plus a rotating deep cleansing brush. It's valued at $45. You're guaranteed to get clear and stay clear, or you'll get your money back. Call 1-800-644-5944. That's 1-800-644-5944. New pitcher is right-hander Tommy Kahnle for the White Sox. And the first delivery, that one is fouled off by Petit on the right side. Kahnle was with the Rockies last year. 36 relief appearances, couple saves, 4.86 ERA. And he's another guy with a really good arm, a power arm. Fastball top out around 99.
Yes, sir. Power arm, but also a very erratic arm. Yes, 39 strikeouts in 33 in the third innings, but in those 33 in 1/3 innings, 28 walks.
Yeah.
Which led to a whip of 1.77.
Kahnle at one time in the Yankees organization. And here's the next pitch, and that is a strike on the outside corner. Kahnle replacing Jones, who worked last inning. He had a 1-2-3 inning with a strikeout in his first appearance this spring. Ball and 2 strikes to count on Petit, who flied out to left his first at bat. And the next pitch, low and away. 2-2 the count. Steve Lombardozzi is the new second baseman for the White Sox, so he replaces Brett Lawrie. Here's the next pitch that's fouled back on the right side, out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Canely is set. Here's the next pitch. Another one fouled off on the right side, backing out of play. Tommy Canely, last name is spelled Kahnle, pronounced Canely.
Showing a big guy who can really get behind the baseball and spin it well too.
Here's the next pitch, and that is a swing and a miss. Late on that swing as Petit throws it by him, struck him out for the first out.
The spin there was all about the fastball and that spin rate he gets. We were talking recently about Cam Bedrosian and the ability he has to get a tremendous spin ratio on his fastball.
So here's Escobar, the Angels' leadoff batter. Unell's popped out and grounded out, so he's 0 for 2. Here's the first one on him, and that fastball misses high for ball 1. Fans in attendance for the Angels' opening series against the Chicago Cubs on Monday, April the 4th, and Tuesday, April the 5th, receive a wall calendar. It's courtesy of U.S. Bank while supplies last. Every game matters, so purchase your tickets at angels.com. Here's one fouled off down the right side, backing out of play. Escobar so far this spring, 4 for 10. 1 ball, 1 strike to count on him. Here's the next pitch from Canely, and this one is bounced by him, but out near second, the new second baseman Lombardozzi fields and throws out Escobar. 2 are gone. Last 7 Angels have been retired in a row, and here is Rafael Ortega, who has doubled and scored a run in 2 times up. Tomorrow, when the Angels take on the Diamondbacks, Garrett Richards against Robbie Ray. And then Wednesday, when the Angels host the Dodgers here at Tempe Diablo Stadium, Jared Weaver will make his second spring start against former Angel Scott Kazmir. That pitch in there for a strike.
Weaver has clearly indicated he is pretty much past the torch, and that means he knows he had a nice run as an opening day starter for the Angels, and he goes, it's Garrett's time, and he fully endorses Garrett Richards.
Richards likely the Angels opening day starter on April the 4th against the Cubs, although I don't know that Mike Scioscia has tipped his hand yet.
Never does, never will, but just start mapping it out and you'll find out. Of course, things could happen between now and then to set things out, but that's the way it all looks. And I'm glad to hear Jared Weaver, say one time it happened with John Lackey passing it to me. And here we are. I'm passing it out to Garrett Richards.
2-1 pitch. This one is hit softly toward short. Saladino has it. His throw nips the speedy Ortega, and that will end the inning. Angels go down 1-2-3 here in the bottom of the 5th. We're moving on to the 6th inning. It's a 4-2 Angels lead at Tempe Diablo Stadium on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Sixth inning baseball. Pitcher number 4 of the day for the Angels, Rob Rasmussen, will take over. Salas ended up pitching the 5th inning. Gave up a couple of hits but no runs. And did not walk or strike out anyone. So Rob Rasmussen, a lefty, will get ready to work. And this is his 3rd appearance this spring. He's worked 2 scoreless innings so far. Want to remind you, Experian, let's get serious about your credit. Go to Experian.com today.
Other Angels pitching news is that Andrew Heaney should be back on schedule and on the mound on Thursday, March 10th. As you recall, Heaney missed his original start because of the flu that's been affecting a few of the Angels players in that clubhouse.
Jerry Sands chases the first one here from Rasmussen and fouls it off, and the count 0-1. And anything new on C.J. Wilson, who we've yet to see, and he's a little bit behind the rest of the starters, obviously, in the Angel rotation. 0-1 pitch. That's fouled off on the right side, backing out of play.
It's getting C.J. back to playing catch, throw bullpens, but he's going to be behind. And in fact, he has openly indicated that there's a possibility he does not make his first start of the season. He had the elbow surgery. Then he has some discomfort in that shoulder when camp began, and then went home to be there for the birth of his baby girl.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. That one is inside.
We've seen a very happy Papa Wilson around here.
Rasmussen is ready. And now stepping out of the box is Sands. Angels have the infield backed up. Here's the next pitch. That's a little bit low. So it's 2-2. Rob Rasmussen will throw a fastball, slider, good curveball. It's a slow curve he throws. He'll throw a cutter at times and a changeup. Went to high school in Pasadena, Poly High School. Also went to UCLA. And on that pitch, he catches the outside corner and unable to pull the trigger as Sands struck him out looking. One away.
Nice start there for the lefty. Able to stay over that rubber and then use the outer half and get just enough of that corner for that K.
So the Honor Navarro is the next batter. The Angels have had only 3 hits in this game, but have 4 runs. And the Angels had a big hit from Mike Trout. 2-run homer. That was back in the bottom of the 3rd to break a 2-2 tie. Here's the pitch. Cut and a miss. 0-1 is the count.
And for the White Sox last season, Terry, the challenges presented by their offense. We talked about the average, about 3.8 runs per game. But they only had 1 winning month. And that was July when they went 16-10. Hoping that these new additions will change things around the offensive side to support a very solid staff led by Chris Sale, Jose Quintana, Carlos Rodon, a youngster who really has some electric stuff, and John Dang's bouncing back.
Here's the pitch on its way. That one is low. I saw something in the offseason about the White Sox, and you mentioned their lack of offense, and you might double check on this one for me. Get to it after the next delivery. It's 2-1 on Navarro. That one is bounced foul. Boy, it was a line hugger, just foul on the third base side. But apparently the White Sox, and this is almost hard to believe, they did not have a left-handed batter hit a home run off a left-handed pitcher all season a year ago.
We'll have to find that out.
Any left-handed batter on their team not hitting a home run against a left-handed pitcher. It's almost hard to believe. Here's one that's popped foul on the right side that's going to get back and out of play.
They were last in the league with a 246 collective average. The Angels were, and the White Sox were 12 at 250. And also the on-base percentage for both ball clubs lacking a whole lot in 2015.
Counts 2-2. Here's the next one on Navarro. He was reaching, lifts a fly ball into right center field. That ball's carrying a bit. Trout is chasing hard, and Mike Trout is unable to get to that one. It's over his head. Ball was out on the warning track. Navarro doesn't run very well, so he will settle at second with a one-out double. That ball kept on carrying on Trout. The wind is blowing out in that direction, so it got up in the jet stream a little bit. Trout just unable to run it down.
It's good contact by Navarro. Got something elevated from Rasmussen and did not have to do a whole lot once that ball was put in play, carrying through the thin air. And that's Terry mentioned, that wind blowing now straight out towards right center field.
So the next batter is their right fielder, Jason Coates, minor league player, and the first pitch on him, he takes it for ball one. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
You can see those flags also, Terry, at half staff in memory of recently departed former First Lady Nancy Reagan. So Nancy Reagan.
Two 2-0 is the count. Now they're going to pinch run for Navarro, so his afternoon comes to an end. Check on the new base runner out there at second base. Adam Engel is the pinch runner. And he is an outfielder, so they'll have to get a new catcher in when we get to the Angels' bottom of the 6th. 2 balls and 1 strike to count. Navarro, who just was lifted for the pinch runner, had a pretty good day. There's a pitch and misses, snap throw to second. The pinch runner gets back. Engel dives back safely. Navarro was 2 for 3 today with a 2-run homer, also a double. Three balls and 1 strike. Next delivery, it's bounced on the third base side, a foul ball. Fans, don't forget, no freezers, no microwaves, no heat lamps ever at In-N-Out Burger when it comes to burgers, fries, and shakes. Always fresh is the only way. Why not stop in after the game? Waiting on deck for the White Sox is Daniel Fields. Here's the next pitch. Another one grounded foul by Coates on the third base side. So still a full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Rob Rasmussen trying to open up some eyes here in Angel camp. He's on the Angels 40-man roster. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, and he got him. A couple strikeouts in the inning for Rasmussen. Fields will be the next batter.
Always a plus when you occupy one of those spots on the 40-man rosters, you know, to make it easier once you're performing well and your number is needed. There's no need to move anybody off that roster to find you that spot on the 25-man.
So Fields, who's had a walk and a strikeout, will bat. Angels in the bottom of the inning will have Trout, Pujols, and Calhoun batting. That could be the final at bats for all 3 of them. We'll see how it all plays out. 4-2 Angels here in the 6th. The pitch, that's fouled back to the screen. 0-1 is the count.
Giovanni Soto and the second baseman Petit have had contact, pretty much eye contact, all day long, and trying to get some plays put on to throw behind the runners. And that was one of them there where actually you don't see this very often, but the second baseman was going to be covering the bag on the back throw. And Soler immediately told Petit, "Nah, with this guy hitting, man, stay on your side."
Here's the pitch. That's a line shot into right field for a base hit. Engel will be waved home. Here comes the throw from right, and it's a little bit late. Calhoun's throw also up the third base side just a bit. 2-out RBI base hit for Fields. And the Angels lead is sliced to a run. It's now 4-3.
It's a pretty good job there by Daniel Fields as he struck out against the lefty Santiago earlier. And walked against lefty Alvarez. Now stays right with it. I think repetition has played a key in at least how well he tracked the ball there against Rasmussen. Solid shot to right field.
So here is Saladino, who's had an 0-for-1 day, hit by a pitch. He's also flied out. Rasmussen now trying to minimize the damage with 2 gone in the inning. Here's his first delivery. Low and misses, ball 1. Angels are getting some action in the bullpen. Things are quiet right now for the White Sox in their pen. Here's the pitch. That's way high. 2-0 the count, and the catcher Soto is going to go out, have a quick visit with Rob Rasmussen. Want to remind Angel fans that every moment matters. Join us all season long for select Saturday night post-game fireworks presented by Wells Fargo. You can purchase your Saturday night tickets today. Just go to angels.com. Here's the pitch. And that is a little bit low. Angels have a couple of young pitchers loosening up. Alan Buzenitz. And also loosening up is Kyle McGowan. Here's the pitch. Chopped on the right side. The second baseman Petit has it. His throw is in time to first. That's how the inning will end. White Sox do get a run here in the top of the 6th. We're headed to the bottom of the inning. Angels lead it by a run at 4-3 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Mike Trout will be the first batter for the Angels. There's a new pitcher for the White Sox, and it is Michael Inoa. And he's a big guy. He goes about 6'7". Was in the A's organization at one time. In fact, signed a big bonus when the A's signed him out of the Dominican back in 2008. $4 million signing bonus, a little bit over $4 million.
Terry, you put that in today's dollars? Well, you're talking $8-10 million. Way before the Cuban players were getting these big bonuses and contracts. Michael Inoa was pretty much resetting the charts for players coming out of the Dominican. At one point, they thought he was on a fast track to the big leagues, but no, sir.
Came over to the White Sox when the White Sox traded Jeff Samardzija over to Oakland. 1 ball, 1 strike is the count.
Hoping now a change of scenery, new organization, new philosophy, and new instructors will get his career back on track. But more than anything, has been sidetracked by the injuries. He's barely pitched in the last 6-7 years.
Number of changes here for Chicago. We'll get to those in just a moment. And the next pitch, that one is low. That deal that brought Inoa over here to the White Sox, he came over with Samardzija from Oakland back in December of 2014. Marcus Semien was part of that deal, going over to the A's, and pitcher Chris Bassett, catcher Josh Fagley, all part of that deal. Here's one that's fouled off on the right side. But Inoa has always had a good arm, but he's a guy that's had trouble staying healthy. He's had Tommy John surgery in the past. And going back to when he signed in 2008, he's only pitched 199 innings since then. Here's the next delivery. That's lifted in the air down the right field side, and it drops foul. Chasing after it was the right fielder, and that's Adam Engel, who's out there now. He has stayed in the ball game. He came in to pinch hit for Navarro. Travis Ishikawa is now playing first base. They have Hector Sanchez catching. Carlos Sanchez is playing shortstop. Matt Davidson is now at third base as Mike Trout takes ball 4. Leadoff walk for Trout. Trout's been busy today. We'll see if he might be on the move here. He's already stolen a base. He scored 2 runs, driven in 2.
It's a good time to keep working at it for Mike Trout, as he had a nice jump in that first inning when he stole the base with Johnson on the mound. And usually tall, lanky pitchers do not have the best moves over to first base, and let's see how far out Mike Trout can keep working on those leads.
Albert Pujols is the batter against Inoa. And Albert steps out of the box. Jacob May is the new left fielder here for the Chicago White Sox. And they have Leury Garcia now playing in center. First pitch on Albert, that's right in there for a called strike. So a whole new look in the outfield for the White Sox, and pretty much a whole new look in the infield other than second base. Lombardozzi is still there, and he came in just an inning or so ago to take over for Brett Laurie. Here's the pitch. Albert cracks his bat, bounces it to third. Might be 2, second for 1. Relay to first, and easy double play. It was hit right at the new third baseman, Matt Davidson. So the next batter will be Cole Calhoun.
Ball pull. That's why they play Albert in that direction with that shift. And a nice, clean, hard slide at second base by Mike Trout. Remember, it's all being emphasized way more now under the old rule where you have to go right to the bag. You might hit your second baseman, but as long as you're doing the right thing, which is right to the base, contact, collision do not matter. It's only when you go out of your way to reach the infielder trying to turn the double play, well, you might get into trouble.
First pitch is a ball on Cole Calhoun. How's his day? Not too bad. RBI double and 2 times up. And the next pitch, that one ripped back to the seats over on the left side, out of play. Angels batting 2 outs, bottom of the 6th inning, and holding on to a 1-run lead at the moment, up 4-3. You know his next pitch, and that one is cut on a miss, so the count 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know his fastball and popping that glove with Sanchez seems to be showing some signs of being fully healthy.
This is his second outing this spring. He was an A-ball last year. And although the 1-loss record was 0-2, some other numbers pretty good. Low ERA, 2.61. Closed some games last year. 6 saves. Average better than a strikeout an inning a year ago. Here's the next pitch. And that is a called 3rd strike. And he gets Cole Calhoun. He knew it. Struck him out looking, and that'll end the inning. So we're headed to the 7th in Tempe, and the Angels have a 4-3 lead on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels have made a lot of changes out there defensively, so we'll run them down for you. The new pitcher in the ball game for the Angels is Kyle McGowan. And we have seen McGowan this spring for the Angels. As he gets ready to work, Kyle McGowan will be making his 2nd appearance. He's had a scoreless inning. The Angels have a new first baseman, and that is Eric Aguilar, who is up from minor league camp. Sherman Johnson is now playing second base. Roberto Baldacchini is now at shortstop for the Angels. And the first pitch, this is Leury Garcia. He takes it for ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes. Kyle Kibitza is the new third baseman. Angels have Gary Brown in center field as the pitch is lifted into shallow left center, and that's going to fall in for a base hit. So that is a leadoff single for Garcia, and Lombardozzi is the next batter. This will be his first time up. The Angels also have Chad Hinshaw out there in right field as Cole Calhoun has left the ball game. So it looks like the only player who hasn't been removed right now is Rafael Ortega, the left fielder. He stays in there. And there's a new catcher for the Angels. Juan Gratterall has taken over for Giovanni Soto. Lombardozzi at the plate. He takes ball one. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
Well, Gratterall could be tested very quickly here by a very fast and instinctive base runner. And Garcia at first base, who's got a pretty good lead.
Gratterall is a good catch and throw guy. We've already seen that out of him here in the early going of spring training. There's a toss over to first base, and back goes Garcia.
And that's one aspect, Terry, that must not be ignored by the Angels on the defensive side. The Angels allowed 93 stolen bases last year. It was way too many.
There's a pitch that misses for a ball.
Carlos Perez, who's projected to be the #1 catcher for the Angels, threw out at a 30% clip. But it's a combination, not just what the catchers do now with Soto as a backup or exchanging time there, sharing time with Perez, but the pitchers and what it calls for.
Runner is on the move, and the pitch is bounced foul over on the right side. So sure enough, Garcia was running. So the count's 2 balls, 1 strike. Here's the next delivery. It's a high fly ball that's lifted down the right field side, down in that right field corner area. That one is gone. Steve Lombardozzi has hit the second home run of the day for the White Sox, and that will put them on top. It's now 5-4 Chicago.
Well, you come into the game, you try to make the team as a backup, and immediately you fill your position well and put a little charge on this one here. Good solid swing all the way around by Lombardozzi. Looked for something middle in, did not waste it.
So the White Sox are leading for the first time in the game as Travis Ishikawa steps up. He's a guy who's spent some time with the Giants and the Pirates. There's one that's outside on him.
Absolutely beloved by Giants fan base.
2 balls and no strikes to count.
Got one of those heroic moments in the playoffs a couple years back.
Ishikawa has also played with Milwaukee, Baltimore, the Yankees. Last year with the Giants and Pirates. And there's a pitch that's in there for a strike on him. Signed a minor league deal with the White Sox. 32 years old. Here's the next pitch on the left-handed batter. That one's lifted foul on the left side. It's backing out of play. Let's pause for stations to identify themselves here on the Angels Baseball Radio Network. Terry Smith, Jose Mota, and our producer-engineer Darren Chan with you here from Tempe, where the Angels have fallen behind by a run here in the top of the 7th. 5-4 White Sox. They've out-hit the Angels 10-3. And the next pitch, that's a liner. Jumping up and catching it is Baldacchini, the shortstop. Good vertical leap right there by Baldacchini to take that one out of midair. It was really hit hard.
It seems like every time Baldacchini comes into a game, the ball finds him or he finds the baseball. Flashes some great defensive abilities. The much stronger now Baldacchini. Showing the soft hands and has been pretty much impressing a lot of people on those back fields.
So that's the first out, and that pitch is going to get a piece of Matt Davidson. So McGowan is having some issues here in the 7th inning. He's retired only one of the first 4 that he's faced. A couple of hits allowed, including the homer. Now a hit batsman, and the only out of ball was really hit hard against them. So Davidson, who was batting there for the first time, gets hit by the first pitch. And the batter now is Jacob May. This is his first time up, left-handed hitter. And he goes after the first pitch, lifts it in the air into right center field. That's going to fall in for another hit. Angels get the ball back to the infield quickly as Brown and Hinshaw were chasing that one in right center. That's going to be a single. Advancing over to third will be Davidson, and now they have him at the corners.
Youngster Gary Brown doing a fine job in center field, cutting that ball off, and not just cutting it off, but how quickly he made that turn, squared away and fired into the infield to not allow May to get to second base.
So here is Engel ready to bat. Runner at first goes. The pitch is a ball. To throw to second. It is late. That's a stolen base. May with a steal of second. They have him at second and third.
Well, Robin Ventura really managing with these youngsters here with a sense of putting some plays on and keeping the awareness level up for any of these guys trying to make the ball club, or that eventually will get called up to get used to that style and the signs and the pace and the rhythm of this type of inning.
So the Angels have brought the infield in, and the next delivery, here's the fly ball. It's hit well into center field. Brown is going back, still going back, makes a nice running over the shoulder grab. It's deep enough, though, that both runners will tag. So coming in and scoring will be Davidson, and moving from second to third will be May on the sac fly by Engel. It's now 6-4 White Sox.
One thing that has been quite clear with McGowan on the mound, there's been a lot of hard hit balls, and he is missing a lot over the plate, and the White Sox are more than ready to be pulling that trigger. Another nice play by Gary Brown out in center field.
So the batter now is Hector Sanchez. This is his first time up. He's hitting out a Jason Coates spot. Here's the pitch, and that's a little bit outside. 2 outs in the inning. They've scored 3 in the inning, have the White Sox, and they lead by a pair. 6-4 the pitch. Grounded on the first base side. That one skips off the glove of Aguilar, and that's going to be another run. That ball was hit hard, and it kind of handcuffed Eric Aguilar over there at first base. It's now 7-4 White Sox.
Just another hard hit ball on the hard ground here. Of course, it's a lot tougher to gauge and get an idea as to what the ball will do, and could easily eat you up here in Arizona. And there's another example there.
It will be scored an RBI single for Hector Sanchez. Here's Daniel Fields, who has gone all the way as the DH. He's had a walk and an RBI hit so far today. Takes that one for a strike. Four hits and 4 runs in this inning against McGowan. Pitch strike, the count 0-2. Here's the next delivery. Did he go around on that one on the appeal? They say he was holding. One ball, 2 strikes, the count. Angels at one time had a 4-2 lead in this game, but now trail at 7-4. And there's a pitch that misses ball 2. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Our score update brought to you by Experian. Get serious about your credit by visiting Experian.com. McGowan's thrown a lot of pitches in the inning. Here's the next one, and that is cut on and missed. He got him, struck him out. The inning is over, but they send 8 to the plate, and half of them score. A 4-run inning for the White Sox. They take a 7-4 lead to the bottom of the 7th. It's 7th inning stretch time coming up on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels ready to bat bottom of the 7th. Fans become a season seat holder to enjoy exclusive benefits and the same seats all season long at the greatest value. Visit angels.com for more information. So Inoa, who pitched last inning for the White Sox, has left the ball game. And Scott Carroll is the new pitcher. He is a right-hander. Sherman Johnson, the first batter. This is his first time up. He's hitting out a Crone spot. CJ was 0 for 2 today. And the first pitch of ball, the count 1 ball, no strikes. There's a pitch that's in there for a called strike. We'll check out the Dodge Out of Town scoreboard in just a moment. Here on this Monday, it's brought to you by Dodge Challenger, an estimated 30 miles per gallon highway. This car was made for driving. Visit Dodge.com, and we'll fill you in on the Cactus League action. There's one that's low. Well, the other Angels split squad is trailing the Reds 8-3 in the bottom of the 6th inning, and Matt Shoemaker had a tough day against Cincinnati. Worked 3 innings, gave up 3 home runs, 10 hits in all, and 7 earned runs in the 3 innings of work.
That means he's given up now 4 home runs in 2 outings here in spring training.
There's a swing and a miss by Johnson. 2-2 the count. So a tough day for Matt Shoemaker. Bottom of the 6th inning, Cleveland leads the Dodgers 7-3. Bottom of the 6th, a Royals split squad leading a Cubs split squad 3-2. Addison Russell with second home run this spring for Chicago. Johnson taking a 2-2 and pitches low. It's a full count. Other Royals split squad trailing Oakland 5-2 in the top of the 7th. Mike Moustakas has homered in that one. And Stephen Vogt has had 2 home runs in that ball game for Oakland. Padres lead Milwaukee 6-1 in the 6th. Here's the next pitch. Bounce softly to first base. Ishikawa goes there, and they get crossed up as the pitcher came over to cover, and the ball is not handled. Well, Sherman Johnson can run a little bit, but that should have easily been an out. It'll be an error on the pitcher for mishandling the toss by Ishikawa, who fielded the ball. Ishikawa flipped the ball to Carroll, and he couldn't hold on. So the Angels will take it. Angels need base runners, trailing by 3 here in the 7th.
As easy as it looks, it's never an automatic. When it comes down to filling your position and then flipping it to the pitcher who was looking for the bag, and that was a danger there for Carroll. He was looking for the base.
First error of the day against Chicago. And here's Baldacchini getting ready for his first at bat. Right-handed hitter. He takes a big cut and misses that one for strike 1. Texas and San Francisco 2-2 in the 7th. Arizona's doubled up Seattle 10-5 in the 5th. Kyle Seager is homered for Seattle on that one. Cubs split squad taking on the Rockies. That's a 2-2 game in the bottom of the 6th inning. Jason Hayward is homered for the Cubs in that game. And that is it as far as the Cactus League out-of-town scoreboard, brought to you by Dodge and the Dodge Challenger. Carroll is set. Takes some time out there. Now he delivers, and Baldacchini fouls that one back behind the plate. Scott Carroll, as he works, pitcher number 5 of the day for the Chicago White Sox.
There's something I see at first base from Sherman Johnson that's just an indication that he has pretty good instincts as a base runner. He gets a good lead and pretty much always looks like he's going to run.
No balls and 2 strikes. Here's the next pitch. Big cut and a miss. Baldacchini strikes out. A snap throw to first. Just getting back to the bag is Johnson, as Hector Sanchez fired that one up to Ishikawa. 1 out now with 1 on. And Kyle Kubica gets ready for his first at bat.
My point being about Johnson doing things well, of course, yeah, you're going to get some catchers throwing behind you when you have that type of lead, because your secondary will be bigger. But it's just not being afraid of getting out there and not tipping when you're running. And that's one mistake that you see with a lot of big league runners or base stealers, is the fact that they tip a lot when they're going to run, because things are different around the bag.
Here's the first pitch on Kubica. That's in there for a strike.
A lot of guys, you can see they get a little more tense. A lot of guys start leaning. Even tip sometimes with what they do with their hands, where they're position their hands, to let the opponent manager know this is the time to pitch out.
Counts 0-1 on Kubica. He takes that one low. This has been kind of a strange game because the Angels have more runs than hits. And the Angels have not had a hit since Trout hit his home run in the bottom of the 3rd. And all the Angel hits, there's only been 3 of them so far, have been extra base hits. The Angels have not had a single in this game.
Well, we'll have a chance to talk after the game to Angels hitting coach Dave Hansen.
There's one fouled off over on the left side, out of play. So 1 ball, 2 strikes on Kubica. Kyle Kubica so far this spring. And limited at bats, 4 bats, no hits. Here's the 1-2. And this is low and outside. Scott Carroll, who was working in his first inning, was in 18 games last year for the White Sox. He's a sinker ball pitcher. He was the guy who made his debut for them back in April of 2014 after he spent some 8 years in the minors. Paid his dues. Trying to win a spot in the White Sox bullpen here this spring. There goes the runner. The pitch is low. The throw down to second in time to gun down Sherman Johnson.
Sanchez from his knees. And a one-hopper, nice pickup over there by the middle infielder. Playing that tag.
So that's going to be the second out. Full count now, 3-2. Gratterall, who's now catching for the Angels, he would be up next if the inning stays alive. 2 outs, bottom of the 7th, 7-4 White Sox. Payoff delivery. Fly ball lifted into left center field. The left fielder chasing hard, unable to get to it. It's by Jacob May, and the ball's out to the wall. And Kubica has his first hit this spring, an opposite field 2-out, 2-strike double to keep the inning alive. So again, the Angels have been playing double or nothing here today.
Here we go again. Slugging percentage is going to go up. And for Kubica, I think we all know by now what he's going to bring to the table when he's on his game is just spraying the ball around. Surprisingly with some power once in a while when he's looking middle in, but this is his game. A solid approach, a good eye at the plate, and splitting the gaps.
Gratterall is a right-handed batter. He's yet to get a hit this spring. This is only his second at bat. First pitch in there for a called strike.
Talking about Carroll, he got off to a good start. In a couple of games that he pitched in April last year, 5 scoreless innings, only 1 hit then. In May, they gave him 6 games, more innings. He gave up 19 hits in 12 1/3 innings, allowing 6 earned runs.
There's a check swing by Gratterall, but he went around, fooled on that pitch. So he's in the hole, 0-2.
Overall, Carroll, Terry, even though he did allow a 280 average against him, really did a good job of evening out his year. That 1-on-1 record you talked about in 36 2/3 innings. 3.44 ERA.
So 2 strikes on Gratterall with 2 outs and the 0-2. He fouls that one off the catcher Sanchez to stay alive. Chad Hinshaw is waiting on deck. He's hitting out of the leadoff spot that Escobar had today. You know, Escobar went 0 for 3. Next pitch. That's low. It goes right between the legs of the catcher Sanchez, so that will enable Kubica to move over to third base. It will be scored a wild pitch. Well, the Angels fail to come back in this one, and the other Angel club fails to come back against the Reds. The Angels would be 2-5 by the end of the day in the Cactus League.
It's always concerning when the pitching doesn't do well, of course.
Right. There's one fouled off, and yeah, with the Angels having some question marks now about C.J. Wilson, a guy like Matt Shoemaker, you'd like to see him faring a little bit better. But again, it's early in spring. Chance to iron some issues out. Plenty of time to do that.
Tyler Skaggs will be on the mound on the 10th here on Thursday, and then encouraging to see how Nick Tropiano threw the ball yesterday. That was pretty impressive.
There was.
For Andrew Heaney on the mound on Thursday. Skaggs on schedule to continue his progress through a recent bullpen, and he seems like he's going to be, of course, slowly brought back into the fold, but he's been throwing the ball very well.
Scott Carroll takes some time. He's not a real quick worker out there. And here's the next pitch. Gratterall was jammed, breaks his bat, bounces it right back to the pitcher Carroll, who easily throws him out at first base, and the inning is over. So the Angels leave a runner at third, and we're headed to the 8th. White Sox lead at 7-4 on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Eighth inning, the Angels down by 3, 7-4. Poker fans play in the Gardens Casino $30,000 guarantee no limit hold'em tournament this Friday. Visit thegardenscasino.com for more info, and please play responsibly. So Kyle McGowan will continue. He had a rough 7th inning, faced 8 batters, and along the way gave up 4 hits and 4 runs. And the first batter he faces here is Carlos Sanchez.
He threw 23 pitches, and we know that pretty much every ball put in play was hit very hard. So Mike Scioscia and the rest of the staff allowing him a chance to go out there and spot the ball better this inning.
Next delivery, and that one misses again, so it's 2 balls, no strikes. Infield playing straight up, and the outfield straight away, and there's ball 3. It's now 3-0. The White Sox had a little bit of everything against McGowan last inning. The 4 hits, including a homer. Batter was hit in the inning. They had a sac fly. They had a stolen base in the inning. There's a pitch in there for strike 3-1.
So what do you think Dino's quotes are going to be like this time, Terry?
There's a high fly ball. It's lifted deep into center field. Gary Brown is not going to be able to get to that one. It's over his head, the center fielder. And stopping at second base with a leadoff double is Sanchez. Garcia will be the next batter.
Well, what do you think Dino's going to say now? Some good quotes?
Right.
For the
Dino
boys.
Ebel managing the other Angel club today. The game in Goodyear against Cincinnati, and the Angels are having some issues in that one. Matt Shoemaker had a tough day. Well, maybe Dino will say, hey, the wind was blowing out.
Sure. Something colorful. Keep them on entertained.
Here is Garcia getting ready to bat. Yuri Garcia is playing center field, batting from the left side. At the corners, the Angels in defensively, and the pitch. That's way outside.
Hopefully things will be ironed out very quickly as you continue to enjoy the simulcast.
1 ball, no strikes is the count. Here's McGowan's next pitch, and that is low and away, and he is struggling out there today. Young man who pitched at AA Arkansas last season. Starting pitcher in the Angels system right now.
And that's the reason why he is getting extended out beyond the 30-pitch limit.
Here's the 2-0. That's tapped foul over on the first base side. So 2-1 on Garcia. Yuri Garcia spent some time with the White Sox last season, and in 18 games hit .214. He also pitched in a game last year, a blowout game where they didn't want to dip any deeper into their bullpen. He pitched a scoreless inning.
The story on camp about that.
Here's one that's grounded to short. Baldacchini has it. He will throw him out. And Sanchez moves over to third. One away.
And that is that when you talk about position players that had a pitch in a game, we mentioned Cliff Pennington. There are some teams this offseason that when they're negotiating a contract with, or talking about a possibility of negotiating a contract with Cliff Pennington, they mentioned the possibility of maybe even having him throw some innings if needed. Again, if needed.
Right. So here's Lombardozzi, and there's a pickoff toss over to third. Well, I saw the other day Dan Johnson is back with Tampa Bay, and he was a big first baseman and had some clutch hits for them a few years ago when they were a playoff team. He's making a comeback now as a knuckleball pitcher with Tampa Bay. Another pickoff toss to third base, and the runner gets back.
So Dan Johnson starting all over again. In fact, he spent some time with the White Sox organization, too.
Yeah, he really bounced around the last few years, and kind of back in familiar territory now at Tampa Bay, where he enjoyed some success as a hitter. Now hoping to enjoy some success in the big leagues as a pitcher.
Hopefully make it to the big leagues.
Right.
As a knuckleballer, working his way back through the minor leagues.
That one's fouled back. Yeah, it would be hard to believe he could make their opening day roster as a knuckleball pitcher, having not done that before, but trying to keep his pro career alive in a different way now. We have one out, a runner at third base. We're in the 8th inning. It's 7-4. White Sox. The Southsiders have the lead on the Angels. The pitch that's fouled off on the left side out of play. It should be an interesting year in Chicago as far as baseball, with all the hoopla for the Cubs. White Sox trying to stay relevant.
White Sox won the championship, the World Championship, in 2005. The most recent one in the city of Chicago.
And attendance has been on a downward slide in recent years for the White Sox. Here's a fly ball lifted in the right. It's caught there by Hinshaw. Runner will tag, throw to the plate late. And scoring is Sanchez from third base. So that's a sac fly for Lombardozzi, who's had the 3 RBI ball game coming off the bench. And it's now 8-4 White Sox.
Well, 2 at-bats, 3 RBIs for Lombardozzi, 2-run home run, now the sac fly.
Ishikawa will be the batter now. We see Mike Scioscia coming out to the mound, so that is going to be it for Kyle McGowan. The Angels will go to the bullpen with 2 outs here in the 8th. We have a pitching change coming up right now. It's 8-4 White Sox leading on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West.
Now pitching for the Orioles, number 2, Jose Molina.
New pitcher for the Angels is left-hander Jose Molina. And this is not the former Angel catcher who's now part of the Angels organization now as a catching instructor.
Especially since you're talking about
players
changing
positions, trying to make comebacks. Here's the next pitch, and that one misses low for ball. This is left-hander Jose Molina's first year in the Angels system. He was not in the Angels organization at the beginning of last year. And he faces Ishikawa. The count's 1-1 strike. Here's the next pitch. Chopped on the right side. Sherman Johnson has time. And the throw will get Ishikawa, and the inning is over. So Molina, the lefty, comes in, gets the final out. In the inning, though, they do get another run, and the White Sox have an 8-4 lead as we head to the bottom of the 8th in Tempe on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning, and still on the mound for the White Sox is Scott Carroll. They lead the Angels 8-4. Chad Hinshaw is batting, and this is his first at bat today. No balls, 1 strike to count, and the next pitch, that misses inside. The bottom of the 8th, it's being brought to you today by our friends at Rotolo Chevrolet in Fontana. Rotolo Chevrolet is pursuing excellence every day. You can visit them at rotolo.com. Here's the next delivery, and that one misses the count. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, looking forward to seeing Garrett Richards on the mound tomorrow against the Arizona Diamondbacks over at their modern facility on the other side of the valley. Talking sticks.
Here's the next delivery. That's inside.
And the Angels will be facing the Diamondbacks. They'll have lefty Robbie Ray on the mound. And the Angels saw during the regular season.
Carroll is set, working from the stretch, and the next one that's tipped foul right by the plate. Fans, if your computer is running slow, go to mycleanpc.com. Get a free computer diagnosis. In minutes, you can activate MyClean PC software to clean out the junk that may be slowing down your computer. Visit mycleanpc.com. So it's 3-2 here on Chad Hinshaw. We've seen him a little bit this spring. He's had 1 hit, 3 at-bats, and he cuts and misses. That 3-2 pitch struck him out. Second strikeout for Carroll since coming in last inning. Rafael Ortega, who's been the left fielder the entire ball game for the Angels, the only player in their starting lineup who is still around, will get ready for his 4th at bat of the day. He's gone 1 for 3.
Terry, also looking forward to see how this new look Diamondbacks team is going to get it all together. A big acquisition, Zach Greinke, also added a quality pitcher, Shelby Miller. A developing Ruby De La Rosa. A nice job by Chip Hale.
There's one that's fouled back.
Their manager.
Yeah, a lot of excitement here in the Valley for the Diamondbacks. And some people think they might challenge to get back in the postseason. They added Gene Segura, former Angel farmhand, and Tyler Clippard, another addition, along with Greinke and Miller. There's a pitch that's low. 1-2 is the count.
It's a team that last season was quite dangerous on the offensive side. And they have one of the best players in the game in Paul Goldschmidt.
No doubt about that.
You talk about a superstar and a guy that really is truly underrated and does not get the recognition he deserves. He does it all.
Yeah, he's really a five-tool guy.
There's no doubt, and he puts all of them in use.
Right. Here's the 1-2 pitch. That's lined into right field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit just in front of Engel, who was charging in. He tried to play that one, a shoestring catch, but unable to make it. So that is a base hit for Ortega, and it looks like he is going to be lifted for a pinch runner.
Hey, get one of those minor leaguers a chance. You see the double flap helmet. You know, immediately there's an exciting youngster out there at first base. And he is number 4.
And in the meantime now, looks like the White Sox are going to make a pitching change. So Carroll will be lifted after giving up the 1-out hit. Breaking the action, bottom of the 8th. It's 8-4 White Sox. Pitching change coming up on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Eric Aguilar is the batter for the Angels. He came in a couple innings ago to take over at first base for Crone, and the first pitch from the new reliever, Zach Phillips, a lefty, and that one pitch taken for ball 1. It's 1 ball, no strikes.
Eric Aguilera hoping to find something there in that hole between first and second here against the lefty Phillips.
Here's the next pitch, and that one misses up and in for a ball. Pinch runner for the Angels over there at first base. He came in for Ortega is Bo Way. Here's the next one on Aguilera, and that one pitch he takes for ball 3, so it's 3 balls, no strikes. Aguilera played his college baseball at Illinois State University, and that pitch is in there on him for a strike. Aguilera's had some success at the plate in the past. Left-handed batter. Counts 3-1. And the next pitch, and that is ball 4. So Phillips issues a walk to the first batter he faces. Angels have a little something brewing with one out. Runners on at first and second.
Very nice job there by Eric Aguilera. Nice job there. Patient enough to see some pitches, and he really did a good job as a minor leaguer, staying right inside and quite comfortable against a lefty.
Michael Strentz is the batter for the Angels. And he is a catcher in the Angels system. He's batting out of Albert Pujols' cleanup spot. And the first pitch on Strentz. He takes that one for a ball to count 1 ball, no strikes. Strentz, an undrafted player. He's a non-roster invitee and was in 65 games at Inland Empire last season. Hit .262, right-handed batter. And he takes that one. And that one looked like it missed as well. 2 balls and no strikes.
Pitcher Zach Phillips, 6'1", 200-pounder. He spent time in the Japanese Central League with Hiroshima back in 2014 with 11 innings. Has pitched in the big leagues with Miami and Baltimore.
Here's the next pitch from the lefty, and Strentz swings and misses that one for a strike. Strentz so far this spring has had 1 at bat without a hit. And here's the next pitch. That's fouled off on the right side, backing out of play. Phillips, who's pitching here for the White Sox, appearing in his 2nd game this spring, and inning and a third of scoreless relief.
He is out of Sac City College. Well-rounded program there for baseball.
Gary Brown's waiting on deck, and the pitch, it's a little pop out near second, and it's gathered in by Lombardozzi. The runners have to hold. So an easy out, 2 gone here in the bottom of the 8th. And Brown will be the next batter. Brown batting out of Cole Calhoun's spot. Cole Calhoun today was 1 for 3 with an RBI double.
Gary Brown, he looks fast, and we have seen how fast he is out there in center field. He's covered a lot of ground in some limited innings, but boy, he's had to run a lot.
Here's the pitch, and that one is fouled back.
He also takes a swing like that.
I was thinking he's a former Titan. Is that correct? Gary Brown?
There have been some Gary Browns before, so he might be one of them, I believe, yes. Recently saw a Chris Davis here with the A's. Yesterday we saw another former Titan, Cologne.
That's right.
Kansas City Royals.
They're checking out the catcher, Hector Sanchez, who got nicked by that foul ball, I guess. So they're attending to the White Sox catcher, and he might have to leave the ball game. So they'll bring in their 3rd catcher of the day. Sanchez having to leave because of some sort of a hand or a finger injury, it appears. So the new catcher is going to loosen up his arm a little bit.
It's Omar Narvaez. Number 85, Omar Narvaez.
Yep. So he says he's ready to come in and take over behind the plate.
Gary Brown, born in Upland, California. Yeah, from Diamond Bar High School.
Here's the pitch. That is a strike on the outside corner. Phillips is set. A look at second. Here's the next pitch. Grounded softly on the right side, right at the second baseman. Lombardozzi flips to second, and that's all they needed. That is the final out. So Brown and the Angels are retired, failing to score, leaving a couple runners on base. The ninth inning is next. It's 8-4 White Sox on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Angels have a new pitcher in the ball game. A.J. Ochter takes over for Jose Molina. New left fielder is Bo Way. And the batter is Matt Davidson, and he takes ball one. It's 1 ball, no strikes. As Ochter begins to work, he's appearing in his third game this spring, 2 scoreless innings so far. And there's a cut and a miss by Davidson. 1 ball, 1 strike. Matt Davidson was a guy that when the White Sox acquired him back in December of 2013, they thought as he swings and hits a ball well in a dead center field, that one is out by the batter's eye and gone. Nothing cheap about that one. A dead center. That ball hit 420 plus out there. And that gives the White Sox a 9-4 lead. They've scored runs now in each of the last 4 innings.
That ball is going to be gone in any ballpark, wind or not. Cleared the batter's eye. convincing shot. And right off the bat, the sound made it sound like, yes, it was going to travel, and he got good extension on that and a nice follow-through. So, Terry, anyways, about Davidson.
Well, they thought when they got him from the D-backs, former first-round pick, that he was going to be their third baseman of the future, and it just hasn't panned out. He's just kind of fighting for some recognition to be on the radar screen right now. Young man from Ukaipa.
Keep swinging the bat.
0-1 pitch. That's a cut and a miss by May. And the count jumps to 0-2. The White Sox have had 3 home runs today.
That is quite a shot. 420 to the dead central. Then another 20 feet up of the batter's eye.
And there's a pitch that's taken on a 2-strike delivery for a called third strike. May is out looking. That's the first out here in the 9th. Doctor is the 7th Angel pitcher this afternoon. Engel is the batter. Goes after the first pitch. Fouls it off just to our right, out of play. Don't forget, coming up after the game, Jose will be down on the field. He's going to visit with Angels hitting coach Dave Hansen. We'll have post-game coverage on both the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West.
I'd like to see your question tonight, Terry, on Motor Mondays for the Molina brothers. Something that perhaps you never had a chance to ask them when you were interviewing them on radio.
Right, never had a chance, but always wanted to.
Yeah.
I'll have to put on my thinking cap, Jose.
Just check in.
2 balls and 1 strike.
Well, Mike Trout likes to check in once in a while.
Here's the pitch. That's lined into left field. The new left fielder out there is Bo Way, and he has to reach up on that liner to nab it for the second out. 2 are gone.
Nice read. Not an easy read, but nice job there by the left fielder.
So the new catcher, Omar Narvaez, is going to bat here, and this will be his first at bat of the day. Came in for Sanchez, who injured one of the fingers on his throwing hand, it looked like, behind the plate. Pitch is in there on Narvaez for strike 1. And the next delivery, he lifts one down the right field side. That's going to fall in for another hit. So a 2-out single. Second hit in the inning for the White Sox. They've out-hit the Angels 15-5, and they lead it 9-4. Fans, don't forget the Angels will be at the Big A for exhibition games against the Dodgers on Saturday, April the 2nd, and another exhibition game against the Cubs on Sunday, April the 3rd. That'll be the day before the season opener against the Chicago Cubs. You can get tickets for either one of those exhibition games at the Big A. Go to angels.com. There's a lazy fly ball lifted to straightaway center. Gary Brown will put it away, and that's how the inning will end. So that's it for the White Sox. They get another run. They had 2 more hits, no errors. They leave a runner on. Angels need runs. We're headed to the bottom of the 9th. It's 9-4 White Sox on the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West. Terrific.
Leading off the Orioles,
Here in the ninth inning, there's another new pitcher for the White Sox. Their seventh of the day. His name is Peter Tago. And he will take over here and looking to get the final 3 outs. It's 9-4 White Sox. Sherman Johnson will lead things off for the Angels. Tago is a former first-round pick of the Colorado Rockies. That was back in 2010. And the pitch, that's in there for a strike. White Sox selected him in the Rule 5 draft back in December of 2014. And last year he pitched in A-ball and double-A. There's a pitch that misses for a ball. The count even. It's now 1 ball, 1 strike. This is Tago's first appearance this spring for the White Sox. Here's the next pitch. That one is low. This right-hander for Chicago, born in Harbor City, California. He has some ties to Southern California. Graduated from Dana Hills High School. And he owns and operates Optimum Peak Performance, a sports training facility in San Juan Capistrano. He now lives in Phoenix. Peter Tago, 6'3", 215-pounder, and the next delivery, that's inside. 2-1 the count. Sherman Johnson trying to get something going for the Angels, who trail by 5 in the bottom of the ninth, and that's ball 4. So Tago might have a little nervous energy going out there, pitching for the first time this spring in a White Sox uniform, up from minor league camp. Batter now will be Roberto Baldacchini. A strikeout his only time up. That's the 5th walk given up today by White Sox pitching, but it hasn't really hurt them that much. Here's the pitch on Baldacchini. In there for a called strike. And the next delivery grounded to the shortstop. Looks like a double play. Second for 1. Relay to first. It is. So that was tailor-made right at Sanchez. The Lombardozzi over to Ishikawa. 6-4-3 on the twin killing. Angels down to their final out today against the White Sox. Kyle Kubica will be the batter. That double play, the second one turned by the White Sox this afternoon. Kubica's doubled his only time up. And here's the pitch. That one missing for ball 1. Angels and D-backs tomorrow from Salt River Fields. Garrett Richards against Robbie Ray. Wednesday, Angels and Dodgers right back here in Tempe. And that'll be Jared Weaver against Scott Kazmir. Pitch is outside. 2 balls, no strikes. That game tomorrow between the Angels and the D-backs will start at 3 o'clock back home, 3 o'clock Pacific time. There's a pitch in there for a strike, so we'll be on a little bit later than normal for a Cactus League game. 2-1 on Kubica. He cuts and misses that one. Now the Angels down to the final strike in this ball game. Kubica swings from the left side as Tago delivers. This is chopped on the first base side. It's a fair ball fielded right on the bag by Ishikawa, and that's how the ball game will end. So a quiet ninth inning for the Angels, who drop it today to the White Sox by the final score of 9-4. Angels falling to the White Sox here this afternoon. They'll be looking to bounce back tomorrow, and Garrett Richards goes for the Angels against the Arizona Diamondbacks. When we Have some more on the post-game show on our Angels Baseball Radio Network. We'll also update you on the Angels' other game today, which was the ball game between the Angels and the Reds in Goodyear. Last time we checked, the Angels were trailing in that ball game. Matt Shoemaker started that game, had a tough day against Cincinnati, allowing 3 home runs in 3 innings of work. So the Angels, in dropping this one, now are 2-4, pending the outcome of the other split squad game today between the Angels and the Cincinnati Reds. Jose Mota will be joined by Angels hitting coach Dave Hansen. We will take you down right near the Angels dugout, and Jose, you can take it away.
We roll. Thanks, Terry. Well, Dave Hansen is ready here. Angels full-time hitting coach. But Dave, spring training presents a different dynamic because guys are trying to be on time. What are you looking for from the guys this early, and what have you liked so far? What do you not like so far?
Yeah, I tell you what, I like all our at-bats right now. How we're tracking the ball, directly related to our rhythm, so making sure that we are seeing the ball well and staying in the strike zone. Those are the 2 things that we really got to jump on early, especially first couple of weeks, and those at-bats are really crucial to us.
How convinced are you that this unit, clicking on all cylinders, is going to be more productive than last year's?
Absolutely. I think if we have a collective mindset of staying in the zone, not expanding the zone, staying disciplined in hitting strikes, we're going to be way more productive. That's the name of the game, especially at our level, is staying in the strike zone. Even with 2 strikes, our at-bats aren't over. So being able to push through our at-bats, manage our outs, stay in the strike zone.
Which player of the veterans, and also pick a younger one that so far you say he looks like he's pretty much ready to go, and I'm impressed?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, Cole's doing real well. He's a veteran, kind of, right? Yeah. Mike's a veteran, right? I mean, they're both looking really good. Trouty and Cole are both looking really good, seeing the ball well. Albert's actually, I tell you what, 3-4 at-bats into this thing, he looks better than expected. Don't count Albert out on the veteran side, but when it's all said and done, he's going to get it locked in. On the younger side, Ortega, for me, looks really, really good. He's handling high fastballs right now. He's staying back. He had a slider with 2 strikes today. He's just laying line drives out there. I think he's really impressive right now.
Dave, thank you. I know your day starts around 5 a.m. here in spring training. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jose.
Terry, I know your day doesn't start at 5 a.m., but you know what? Go get your rest.
All right. Thanks, Jose. Angels drop it today here to the White Sox. An Angels split squad falling by the final of 9-4. For those of you watching on TV here on this Monday, Jose and Alex Curry will have a lot more post-game analysis. We'll have more for you on the radio side from Tempe as well. This is the Angels Baseball Radio Network and Fox Sports West.